So it's Saturday. Doing the ear. It seems I'm not doing the sociology today or the cultural theory today every single day. Since I did it on Thursday, I was actually doing studying cultural theory by going to class, which involves being in class for 2.5 hours, for an hour and a half, going to breakfast first or lunch, brunch, taking an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half to come back. So that's a full day. And then doing my just horrible leisurely activities of watching YouTube. Um, so, yeah, there was nothing on Thursday. There may be on Thursdays in the future. I don't know, but I've got that thing. Um, Yesterday was, errands. So, and I needed to wait a couple days to get my thoughts in order. So there's two things that happened toward the end of the week, yesterday and the day before. One, and I planned on making comments on this, and I think I still will to the committee because you can make comments to the finance committee on testimony given. So I'm going to be making comments about the RFK situation and vaccines, which I'll talk about here, and then we'll comment about something about the president. So first thing, yeah, I actually hope that RFK Jr. goes after, high fructose corn syrup. The additives in food. There's no worse additive in food than high fructose corn syrup, especially if they call it diet food or low fat food. I think low fat food should be not ever talked about as there should be a black letter warning. Will not cause loss of weight on this light food. Because they're selling it as something that's healthy, and they shouldn't. It's like, no, this does not cause weight loss. This is not good for your. This will increase your blood sugar and all kinds of nasty things. So, yeah, they should. He's got to do something about that. If he wants street cred, he's going to have to talk about high fructose corn syrup as a bad thing if used as a fat substitute. Now, people. The other thing I have about it, people, diss RFK, but, at his age, he's climbing frickin' mountains. He and Oz, I saw a thing where they scrambled up a rock face. Now, I used to be able to kind of do that when I was 29 or 28 and 100 pounds lighter than I was at my last doctor's visit. I can't do what he just did. As far as walking up the hill, hell, I could barely, go out and testify. I kind of want to on something, but on tax reform. But I don't think they're interested in. I don't think the Congress is interested in tax reform. Maybe on tariffs. I can share my tariff study, but yeah, I can't do what RFK did. He's in great shape now. His grandchildren may die of, measles, or I think it's probably, I'm making my choice and I choose to follow, but I'm going to make a name for myself in talking about freedom. So, and parental rights. I don't think parents have a right to put their children in danger. That's called child endangerment. So, we haven't decided that we're going to. Go after not getting vaxxed as child endangerment, even though, you're endangering not only your children but other people's children. So, I mean, I could see it as a something that involves a penalty, but we're not ready to go there yet. We give people some room for parenting that we won't give to in voluntary cooperatives. Because you're more tied to your neighbors, and vaccines may not be optional in a free little pod. you know, it's one of those things where socialism kind of has to beat, you know, the freedom to misparent, to put the way you want to. So, you know, a lot of people, you know, talking about protecting the young, and you know, so you know, instead of now, there's the occasion. There's that kid who's there's an ad by Jason Minyars about you know, making sure that there are trans rights for kids in school, and they like to waive the I don't know, the fact that they had transferred one kid who called himself trans, who was like exposing himself in the bathroom, which may have been pathological. I mean, it may, you know, he may have problems. In fact, I think he does. If, you know, most people don't drop chow in a girl's bathroom, unless there's something wrong with them. So, yeah, I mean, the kid who did that was deviant, and deviant not being just different from the norm. He actually has problems. So, and being trans isn't one of them. You know, the Republicans still think that that the election for governor in Virginia 4 years ago was some kind of secret sauce that they have, because, you know, being woke about trans kids, you know, people care about that as a danger. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not, and it isn't. You know, there's a danger of suicide from trans kids and gay kids who are you know, abused by their parents, basically emotionally, and spiritually. So, and there's consequences of that in teen suicide. So, you know, it's schools seeing them the way they want to be seen is a preventative from schools from suicide by these same parents who may be ignorant of and intolerant, which is damaging to other people, you know, and risk suicide by their kids. So, yeah, it's an interesting debate, but that's not why Youngkin won. Youngkin won because Terry McAuliffe ran a shitty campaign. He went too hard on abortion, which is also what Kamala did, and there was a backlash, both places. And you know, McAuliffe ran a "let's get Northern Virginia and ignore the rest of the state" campaign. Never a good idea. It didn't work for him when he was chairing the Al Gore campaign in 2000. So we got Bush instead. Now that may have been a good thing, but you know, and McAuliffe had been governor. He should know better than to think that he shouldn't try to get every damn vote in Virginia, every county. So he lost deservedly. Youngkin did not win that election. McAuliffe lost it. And everybody's singing, oh, anti-trans is secret sauce. It's not secret sauce, people. You know. But it's so smirks of, you know, let's go for moral superiority as a campaign issue, or supposed mental, you know, which is basically authoritarianism. You know, let's do a little fascism and see if people will accept it. I don't think for most people, you know, I think the people who are loudest about trans people are the people who are partisans, who are doing it because they think it works partisanly. They've got an echo chamber going on. So there's that. So that comes from the RFK thing, but it's, you know, that whole parental rights thing, to make you to coddle your children and help them have, you know, small families and population decline. And you know, the ultimate child abuse is you know, the ultimate societal abuse is to not have enough children to replace. We don't have replacement level. To have replacement level, you've got to provide a way for young people to, have a shotgun wedding and afford parenthood while they continue their school. Um, oh, and incomes is the other one. So um, they were like, I was thinking last night, as I was going to bed, there were a bunch of things I was going to talk about, and they're occurring to me as I'm remembering them. So I'll write these down. RFK, trans, and then income. So I'll talk about income now, and I'll talk about Trump in the next video. So low-wage work, essentially as close to slavery as you can get, including make it not pay because people are cheap. Because it's not enough to have people do dirty jobs. You've got to pay them badly to do them. So you've got to use racial and ethnic and economic class discrimination to make sure they do them, and they have no other choices like education. And not letting if certain people come to the country, you've got to make sure they don't get a leg up, because that would be bad for the majority culture. Keeping immigrants around to cut our food and pick our vegetables and fruits. To have them do it economically effectively, you've got to pay them less, which means you've got to find people who they're better off here picking food than they are in their countries. But we treat them badly. We treat them as outlaws, because that keeps them in line. We do this at the cost of their dignity, and we don't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, we need to let people unionize and have some dignity and still do the dirty job if they want to, but pay them more. That's the thing. Making sure we want people to work. There's, it's a Protestant work ethic, except it's not based in Protestantism. It's based on the as we talk about in sociology classes, it's based on economics. They don't quite talk about that when they talk about Weber. They talk about it though when we talk about Marx, which is what we're talking about. Next week in my sociology class, or in 2 weeks. So. Yeah, I mean, I can see my roommate went back to work so he can afford to bring his wife here. He's got to have an income so that she isn't awarded the state. If she's married to somebody who's got a job, then she doesn't have to go on the dole. Other than his daughter. So, which is, I mean, I can see making sure somebody has an income, but that income should include, being paid to learn English and have remedial education and be paid to do it and have it be free. The question is not, shouldn't be, are we making everybody work? Is everybody being taken care of economically? Is there some, we don't want people to come and be beggars. We want people to be an integrated member of society, including getting benefits if it's leading to a greater good, like literacy. So because if under Plyer v. Doe, young people are entitled to an education regardless of their immigration status. That should apply to adult education as well. That you shouldn't check immigration status for night school, for English as a second language. And in fact, people should have a right to be paid to go to these things. Will we get a flood of immigrants? God, I hope so. Because the great, especially if we fund retirement systems with a value-added tax, which is what we should be doing, then if you have immigrants, they spend things, and that funds the value-added tax. And that funds it. So, there should be no excuse to have people come and spend money and give them money so they can spend money. That's how you save the population. So, yeah, I got to put that in the comments, actually. to Congress. So that's it. Next coming. The next one will come soon.